Make your move to the new Move-In 1075.
Welcome to World News. Tonight, President Bush heads to the Middle East for a critical summit on Iraq. Can he find new answers for a country spinning out of control? Lost cause. A senior military official tells ABC News the Iraqi government could collapse within weeks if there are more major insurgent attacks. Seeds of doubt. Organic food is the nation's newest bumper crop, but as organic products multiply, can you count on quality? Our series, The Truth About Organics. And rolling with it. The women leading a comeback for roller derby. A dainty damsel by the name of Shipwreck Sally takes our reporter for a ride.
From ABC News headquarters, this is World News with Charles Gibson.
Good evening. Tomorrow, President Bush will arrive on Iraq's doorstep looking for answers. It will be the president and the Iraqi prime minister, along with the king of Jordan, meeting in Amman, Jordan, trying to find a way to bring Iraq's state of war under control. U.S. officials more and more express doubt the Iraqi prime minister can do that. Our chief White House correspondent, Martha Raddatz, joins us tonight from Amman. Martha?
Charlie, the president's first meeting with Iraq's prime minister is here tomorrow night, but the president said it is a meeting where he will do just as much listening as talking. President Bush today rejected suggestions that Iraq has descended into civil war, but said that when he sits down with Iraq's prime minister, Nouri al-Maliki, tomorrow, he wants some answers.
My questions to him will be, what do we need to do to succeed? What is your strategy in dealing with the sectarian violence?
U.S. officials tell ABC News that there are serious doubts as to whether Prime Minister Maliki is willing or able to quell the violence. In fact, a senior defense official tells ABC News the Iraqi government could collapse within weeks if there are more spectacular attacks like the Thanksgiving Day bombings that killed more than 200 civilians. Officials say President Bush will make it clear to Maliki that U.S. troops cannot stay in Iraq indefinitely, though today he was adamant that U.S. forces are not going home soon.
There's one thing I'm not going to do. I'm not going to pull our troops off the battlefield before the mission is complete.
The president also suggested that U.S. troops will have different responsibilities going forward than the Iraqi forces. While the Iraqis will be principally responsible for dealing with the sectarian strife, U.S. forces would concentrate on pursuing terrorists.
I will assure him that we will continue to pursue al-Qaeda to make sure that they are unable to establish a safe haven in Iraq.
The problem is that it is virtually impossible for individual soldiers to tell the difference, for example, between a Sunni insurgent or an al-Qaeda terrorist. Anybody who is shooting at us, one commander said recently, is an enemy.
No question it's dangerous there and violent. And the Maliki government is going to have to deal with that violence, and we want to help them do so. It's in our interest that we succeed.
The president also said again today he will not engage in talks with Iran, although, as you know, Charlie, he is under increasing pressure to do so.
Martha Raddatz reporting tonight from Amman, Jordan, where the president will arrive tomorrow. Martha mentioned the difficulty of distinguishing a Sunni insurgent from an al-Qaeda terrorist. The center for al-Qaeda in Iraq is in that country's Al-Anbar province. More than 1,000 U.S. troops have been killed there, more than 1 out of every 3 American fatalities. And among military commanders, there is a growing sense that defeating the enemy there may be impossible or would come with a cost too great to bear. Our national security correspondent, Jonathan Karl, is joining us tonight from the Pentagon. John?
Charlie, ABC News has learned that the Pentagon is considering essentially writing off Al-Anbar, which has been the deadliest province in Iraq for American forces. Under the plan, U.S. troops would be taken out of Anbar and moved to fight what might be an even more difficult battle, the battle for Baghdad. From the beginning of the war, Al-Anbar province has been the heart of the Sunni insurgency. More recently, al-Qaeda's main base of operations in Iraq, a place of increasing frustration to the 30,000 U.S. troops there, most of them Marines. A recent assessment by the top Marine intelligence officer in Al-Anbar concluded that without a massive increase in U.S. forces, the insurgency in Al-Anbar cannot be defeated militarily. a bleak assessment shared by top military commanders.
General Abizaid, is Al Anbar province under control?
Al Anbar province is not under control, Senator.
Middle one.
Under the plan now being considered by Joint Chiefs Chairman Peter Pace, U.S. forces would turn Al Anbar province over to Iraqi forces. A senior military official told ABC News, if we are not going to do a better job doing what we are doing out there, what's the point of having them out there? Thousands of Marines would then move into Baghdad because military commanders fear if Baghdad is not brought under control soon, the war will be lost.
Al Anbar province is critical, but more critical than Al Anbar province is Baghdad. Baghdad's the main military effort.
Some officials opposed the move, arguing al-Qaeda could take over the province, turning it into a power base to launch attacks on Baghdad or elsewhere in Iraq. As dire as the situation is, Pentagon officials say that they expect no significant change in strategy for at least another 2 or 3 weeks until the incoming Defense Secretary Robert Gates is sworn in and given a chance to weigh in on these various options.
John, one other question to ask you about that involves the Pentagon. A lot of people in Washington obviously waiting for the report and the recommendations of the Iraq Study Group, the Baker-Hamilton group that is coming up with alternatives that we might address in Iraq. And I understand you have some new details on their deliberations.
Well, on the timeline for their deliberations, my understanding is that a draft of that report has already been written. I've spoken to people who have looked at that draft. They say that this group is working very hard now to get it to the printers, to get final agreement and final edits, get it to the printers as early, Charlie, as tomorrow, so that this can be printed and released before those confirmation hearings for Robert Gates.
All right. Jonathan Karl reporting from the Pentagon. Thanks. After this broadcast, by the way, tonight, we're going to fly to Jordan to cover the meeting between the president and the Iraqi prime minister. World News will be broadcast from Amman tomorrow and Thursday night as we take stock of where Iraq and the Middle East is heading and try to determine whether Prime Minister Maliki can stop the violence in his country. Part of our coverage, Mission Iraq. What's next? Still overseas, Pope Benedict is now in Turkey, his first trip to a Muslim nation. He's used to friendly, adoring crowds, but he doesn't have them there after that September speech that included a quote about Islam being a violent religion. He is trying hard to mend fences. ABC's David Wright is in Ankara, Turkey, tonight.
Pope Benedict insists this is a pastoral journey, not a political trip. But politics are tough for him to avoid in this part of the world.
So almost everywhere he puts his foot down on this trip, there are potential, landmines waiting to go off.
Benedict diffused one such moment with Turkey's top Muslim cleric, who raised the issue of Islamophobia. The cleric scoffed at the so-called conviction that the sword is used to spread Islam, a pointed reference to Benedict's controversial speech that set off a storm of protest this fall. But the Pope did not take the bait. Peace, he answered, is the basis of all religions.
In this regard,
tonight, addressing foreign diplomats, he expanded on that thought, urging all religious leaders to renounce violence.
They utterly refuse to sanction recourse to violence as a legitimate expression of religion.
Benedict set the tone for this visit with his first stop, laying a wreath at the tomb of the founder of modern Turkey. He signed the guest book with Kemal Ataturk's own words, peace at home, peace in the world.
There's no question that this is a kinder, gentler Benedict XVI.
Turkey is trying to make sure the trip stays peaceful, with riot police on the streets and snipers posted on the rooftops. The crowds are being kept well away. An estimated 3,000 police officers were out on the streets here today, so many that police stations and traffic offices were closed. Every hand was needed on deck. Charlie?
David Wright reporting with the Pope in Turkey. Here in this country, there was a deadly fire yesterday that gutted a group home for the elderly and disabled in southwest Missouri that killed 10 people and injured 25 others. These kinds of fires in homes like this one are sadly not uncommon. But today we learned there is a lot more to this story and this fire than first suspected. And we're joined tonight by ABC's Lisa Stark. So there is more to this story.
Charlie, a tragedy, but compounded tonight because we're learning that the man who apparently owned this facility, as well as 3 others in Missouri, was a swindler, a convicted felon. He had defrauded Medicare back in 2003, and that made him ineligible under state law to own this sort of a residential home. So the state now not only looking at what caused the fire, but how this man may have been in charge of a facility he shouldn't have been running.
But you would think that homes for the mentally ill would be rather closely watched and indeed highly regulated, and I gather they're not.
Well, the groups that help the mentally ill say, in fact, they often fall through the crack. Nursing homes, we know, are heavily regulated by both the federal and state governments. But when it comes to group homes, residential care facilities, assisted living facilities, it's a much grayer area. They're regulated primarily by the states. Some states do an okay job. Some states, in fact, do not. And those are homes that are licensed, like the one in Missouri. There's a whole other set of unlicensed homes. They're under the radar. State regulators don't even know about them, often, unfortunately, until a tragedy occurs.
All right, Lisa Stark, thanks very much. Still ahead on this broadcast, big business invades the organic food industry. Can you still trust the organic label? Part of our special series, The Truth About Organic Food. Pounded by snow and rain and closing in on a weather record. But the worst in Seattle may not be over. And rolling with the punches, why a bruising sport is making a comeback. And our reporter gives it a whirl.
Yeah, it's a whip. I can't stop.
This is World News with Charles Gibson. Brought to you by the makers of Pepsi Complete.
I was just getting to the good part when Uncle Ernie dropped his Toms. Oh, I'd seen that look before. It was heartburn. Before you could say duck sauce, I was there with my Pepsi Complete. I told him only Pepsi Complete starts to neutralize acid on contact and keeps heartburn from coming back all day or all night. In no time, Uncle Ernie was in Mushu heaven, and I had my eye on the spicy dumpling. Pepsi Complete, just one and heartburn's done.
Science suggests vitamin D is a key to calcium absorption, which helps keep bones strong. New improved Caltrate has more vitamin D. Keep your bones strong to keep your body strong. New Caltrate, the key to strong bones.
You've been looking forward to a celebration this big all year. It's Red Lobster's Big Seafood Festival, a feast of new combinations of our biggest seafood. Indulge in rock lobster tail, king crab, and jumbo scampi. Only at Red Lobster.
I'm one of those people who doesn't like to
be held back. I have my fast-acting inhalers.
So I thought I was in control of my asthma, but I was using my inhaler
a lot. So I learned about something more I could do.
More I could do.
More I could do.
If you use your fast-acting inhaler more than twice a week for symptoms, talk to your doctor because you may not be in control of your asthma. Singulair helps prevent asthma symptoms before they start and helps provide 24-hour control in a once-a-day tablet. Singulair is not a steroid, and Singulair is also approved to help relieve indoor and outdoor allergy symptoms. Singulair will not replace fast-acting inhalers for sudden symptoms. Continue taking your other asthma medicines as prescribed. If asthma symptoms get worse, contact your doctor at once. Side effects are generally mild and vary by age and may include headache, ear infection, sore throat, and upper respiratory infection. Join the millions of people with asthma who have discovered Singulair.
I learned about something more I could do.
Ask your doctor about Singulair today.
What's your cereal's IQ? It's an odd question, but some cereals are brighter than others. When it comes to your heart, Smart Start is pretty intelligent. It's designed to help lower cholesterol. Smart, right? But what makes it a heart health scholar? It has potassium and low sodium to help lower blood pressure too. Pretty simple and very smart. And did I tell you how great it tastes? I didn't? How dumb of me.
Kellogg Smart Start Healthy Heart. For your heart, start smart.
We're going to take a closer look at major changes in the food industry, raising questions about what it is you buy when you buy organic. As we said last night, organic food is the fastest growing segment of the food industry. Sales are growing nearly 20% a year. To meet the demand, the organic industry has been changing in radical ways, growing larger, more corporate, and increasingly global. But can mass-produced food grown on factory farms really be organic? With our series, The Truth About Organics, here's ABC's Bill Weir.
You'll pay about 30% more for a cup of Stonyfield Farm organic yogurt. But with it comes a promise that everything inside is pure. No hormones, no antibiotics, no dangerous pesticides. But the word organic also evokes a certain image. Animals with names like Buttercup grazing hilltops of clover. Earth-loving family farmers mixing small batches of goodness just a few dirt road miles from your market. And while the yogurt still comes from places like that, this is a much better indication of the state of organic farming. Millions and millions of cups of organic yogurt, and still not enough to meet the demand.
We can't just sit around in circles saying kumbaya and build an industry.
Gary Hirshberg is one of the founders here, a former hippie desperately clinging to his original ideals while filling an exploding demand. You were looking for milk everywhere you could find it.
Not just milk, fruit, sugar, everything.
He imports organic produce from 40 different countries, strawberries from China, apple puree from Turkey, blueberries from Canada, and he's considering flying powdered milk 9,000 miles from New Zealand to New Hampshire. Burning jet fuel to make yogurt is a tough reality for this environmentalist, who also worries about the food and labor standards in places like China.
We had to take a long, hard look, and in fact, ultimately, we hired 3 different auditors to go in and actually inspect at the fields. It wasn't enough for us to just depend on the USDA audits.
He encourages his farmers to graze their cows as much as possible, but the USDA has no firm guidelines on pasture time or limits on the size of organic farms. In fact, Horizon, the nation's largest organic dairy producer, has one facility with 4,000 cows.
You would think organic milk is grass-fed milk, but very often it is not. And I think that's a problem. I think that represents a real betrayal of the original organic ideals.
But Hirshberg argues that any organic idea is better than none, believing that a mass demand for fresh-grown food could bring back the American farm, clean the chemicals out of the air and water, and improve overall health.
Organic isn't about producing food for the elite or for the rich. Organics is about changing the world.
Saving the world with yogurt.
1 cup at a time.
Bill Weir, ABC News, Londonderry, New Hampshire.
And our coverage of organics continues online with a story that may seem like a contradiction. What do you think of organic junk food? That's at abcnews.com, where you can also ask the CEO that Bill spoke to any questions you may have about organics. And coming up, storms adding insult to injury. The city being hit with just about everything in the weather book. Wonders how much worse it can get.
Lance Armstrong for Bristol-Myers Squibb.
Remember me, cancer? You gave me less than a 50-50 chance to live. You made me suffer. My mom, too. But you made me smarter and more determined and a believer in miracles. Remember me, cancer? You made me what I am today.
Your will, our medicines. Together we can fight the serious diseases. Bristol-Myers Squibb. Together we can prevail.
Sitting still isn't for us, so I needed a pain reliever for my arthritis pain. Then I got something just for my aching shoulder. Different pains, different pain relievers, but now Advil is my every pain reliever. Works wherever I hurt. I'm all Advil.
Someone you love may be a numismatist. It's true, millions collect coins. It's the rush they get collecting something worthwhile. But they need your help. Give them genuine coins from the United States Mint. Polished, radiant, irresistible. Your gift will make a difference for generations to come. Visit usmint.gov. United States Mint. Genuinely worthwhile.
If you have a cold and high blood pressure, you should know that decongestants in these cold medicines can raise your blood pressure. So why take them? Take decongestant-free Coricidin HBP. Powerful cold relief that won't raise your blood pressure.
Great teams like ours don't come along very often.
That's what makes the AARP Walgreens team so special. Trusted names working together to help those 50 and over live healthier lives.
With new ways to save, ongoing programs, and easier access to AARP resources, like their Medicines Made Easy guide with tips to help you manage your medications.
These benefits are just the beginning. Not an AARP member? Stop by Walgreens for a free 1-year membership. Walgreens and AARP. Smarter, stronger, healthier.
If you have a certain type of chronic dry eye, you should know that only Restasis with continued use helps increase your natural ability to produce tears, which may be reduced by inflammation caused by chronic dry eye. Ordinary drops just treat symptoms. Restasis should not be used by patients with active eye infections and has not been studied in patients with a history of herpes viral infections of the eye. The most common side effect is a temporary burning sensation. Ask your eye doctor about Restasis. Make an appointment today.
Right as the president makes his historic trip to the Middle East about our future in Iraq, Charles Gibson is right there, right as history is made. Tomorrow, when it matters most, America turns to ABC's World News with Charles Gibson, your trusted source.
In economic news, Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke said he expects the economy to enjoy moderate growth next year, despite a slowdown in the housing market. But he warned that inflation is still a danger. Analysts said they heard nothing to signal that the Fed would cut interest rates soon, as some on Wall Street had hoped. In the Northwest tonight, November can't end soon enough for a lot of people. A major snowstorm has made a mess of the Seattle area. The month had already brought virtually nonstop flooding rains. The snow is just the capper. ABC's Neil Karlinski reports that Seattle weather records are falling fast.
First came the rain, then the floods, and now this. Freezing temperatures and a rare snowstorm blew into the Seattle area and stopped this city cold.
I don't know. I don't know how much worse it could get. This is pretty bad.
Things went from bad to worse just as Monday Night Football was getting underway.
Gotta believe he's thinking he's in Green Bay.
Yeah. When the game ended, 65,000 fans joined thousands of stunned commuters on frozen highways that soon became impassable. Many, like this driver, were still stuck by early morning.
Just crazy, yeah, it's rough. Definitely salt sheet ice everywhere.
Across the region, nearly every school was closed, businesses shut. Several major highways closed for the first time in a decade.
5 inches of snow in Seattle, you have to equate that to about a foot of snow in New York City.
Hillsides throughout the region like this one are now littered with cars. People who felt like they had no choice but to pull off to the side of the road, get out, and start walking. It's been a tough month. The entire area is still recovering from more than $50 million in flood damage from weeks earlier.
We have had our drought. We've had our terrible wildfires. We've had our floods. Now we have unprecedented snowfall.
November is always the wettest month of the year in Seattle, with an average of 5.7 inches of rain. This month has shattered that with a drenching 15.24 inches, just 9/100ths of an inch off the all-time rain record set in 1933.
New adventure every day in the Pacific Northwest.
Residents have had enough, but it's not over yet. More rain and snow are in the forecast. Neil Karlinski, ABC News, Renton, Washington.
And we have a story tonight that might make you sit up and take notice, or maybe not. You remember when your mother used to tell you, sit up straight? Well, it turns out that might not be the best thing for your back. Instead of sitting upright at a sharp 90-degree angle, researchers at a conference of radiologists say a more relaxed posture, reclining at an angle of about 135 degrees, puts much less stress and strain on the lower back. Told you, Mom. Up next, women on wheels, from flying elbows to bruising body blocks. Why roller derby is suddenly hot again.
If you have a history of smoking and breathing problems, it could be COPD, which includes chronic bronchitis and emphysema. Discover Spiriva, the only once-daily inhaled maintenance prescription treatment for COPD. Spiriva keeps airways open to help you breathe better for a full 24 hours. And it's not a steroid. Spiriva does not replace fast-acting inhalers for sudden symptoms. Tell your doctor about your medicines, including eye drops and illnesses like glaucoma, urinary, and prostate problems. These may worsen with Spiriva. The most common side effect is dry mouth. Others include constipation and problems passing urine. If you have vision changes or eye pain, your breathing suddenly worsens, you get hives, or your throat or tongue swells, stop taking Spiriva and contact your doctor. Spiriva is one of many treatment options to consider with your doctor. So make a habit of breathing better with Spiriva.
If you're concerned about catching a cold or the flu this season, here's an idea. Move to a deserted island and avoid other people for 6 months. Or just drink a glass of Florida orange juice every day.
Give your immune system the nutrients it needs. I know rheumatoid arthritis is painful, but I didn't know it could attack my joints.
Scientists believe that in moderate to severe RA, your immune system can cause serious damage.
But Enbrel enables me to fight progressive joint damage.
Enbrel works on your immune system to suppress inflammation, help relieve pain and fatigue, and keep joint damage from getting worse.
Enbrel gives me energy to do many of the things I love.
Because prescription Enbrel suppresses your immune system, it may lower your ability to fight infections, such as an open sore or the flu. So don't start it if you have one. Tell your doctor if you're prone to them or if you've been treated for heart failure, or if you experience persistent fever, bruising, bleeding, or paleness while on Enbrel. Serious, sometimes fatal events, including infections, lymphoma, nervous system, and blood disorders have occurred. Common side effects included injection site reaction, infection, and headache.
Ask your rheumatologist and envision your possibilities with Enbrel.
My dad and I have been in the septic business for over 40 years. A septic system today can cost many, many thousands of dollars to replace.
Rid-X uses bacteria and enzymes to help prevent septic backups.
I've always recommended Rid-X, and I've never recommended anything else.
I'm Steve Dunn. Next on the Northwest's only all-local newscast, how the driver of this Hood River school bus avoided an even bigger disaster, and Salem police following leads in the murder of a 77-year-old woman. Their baby leaks to other crimes. Next.
Finally tonight, the return of roller derby, that rough and tumble contact sport on wheels. Roller derby's rowdy heyday passed by decades ago, but it was a colorful sport with female star skaters who would just as soon knock your block off as shake your hand. Well, now the lady jammers and blockers are back on skates and are tougher than ever. ABC's John Berman found out just how tough.
Here in the rolling hills of upstate New York, just past the pumpkin patch in Babbling Brook, is a different world, a world of pain. Welcome to roller derby.
Where else can you wear Great X makeup and a skirt and kick the crap out of people?
Roller derby has been around since the 1930s. It had an unforgettable resurgence in the 70s with the Raquel Welch not-so-classic Kansas City Bomb. But lately it's gone from a campy sideshow into something of a female fitness and empowerment craze. More than 100 leagues have popped up in the U.S., including the Hudson Valley Horrors.
I like that this sport allows me to be who I am, but at the same time engage myself in some athleticism.
The individuality comes from the outfits and their special derby names.
Shipwreck Sally, Killer Skillet, Rough Down.
There are 5 players from each team skating at once. One skater on each team, that's Pinky Swears in the pink helmet here, tries to break through the pack, circle around, and break through again and again. Shipwreck Sally showed me how teammates propel each other with moves like the whip.
And all I'm going to do is push you forward.
Yeah, it's a whip. Meanwhile, your opponents try to stop you by force.
So show me what kind of physical contact allowed.
So I skate like this during practice, but you're here, and it's that. And, oh my gosh, don't fall, please.
Even real players say it isn't easy. At 42, Eileen Konieczny, Jazz, is the oldest on the team. She is a mother of 2 and an oncology nurse.
Everybody at work thinks I'm crazy.
Are they right?
No, absolutely not. It's good. It's good. They won't try it, though, but it's good for me.
The Hudson Valley Horrors have their first bouts against the big city teams next month. The city folk better watch out. Trust me. John Berman, ABC News, Accord, New York.
You gotta love Shipwreck Sally and Scarlet Bloodletter. That is World News for this Tuesday. I'm Charlie Gibson. Tomorrow I'll be reporting from Amman, Jordan on President Bush's summit. Hope you had a good day. For all of us at ABC News, have a good night.
Have you seen Shirley?
Tonight, it's a Boston legal shocker.
She's in that house. I can feel it.
With the final 5 minutes, no one saw coming.
I will shoot you dead!
An all-new Boston Legal tonight, 10/9 Central, only on ABC.
Now, on K2 News at 6:30, a school bus slides off an embankment in Hood River. What the driver did to try and keep those kids safe. Plus, icy roads cause dozens of accidents in our area, and it's not getting better soon. How cold it will get and the impact it'll have on your commute. And efforts to find the person who killed an elderly woman in Salem. The new lead police have tonight.
Live at 6:30, K2 News, the spirit of the Northwest.
Good evening. Thank you very much for being with us, everybody. I'm Steve Dunn.
And I'm Deborah Knapp. Icy and snowy conditions made for a scary ride for some elementary students after their bus slid out of control.
It happened this morning in downtown Hood River. K2's Anita Kasey joins us live with more on why fire officials are praising the bus driver tonight. Anita?
Well, they sure are. That bus was headed to May Street Elementary School. It was coming down the hill of 13th when the driver tried to make a right turn. What happened was she had chains on, but it was just